Everyone panics about picking the right stock. Nobody talks about what happens when you just keep buying. That's the move you should actually be making. You open the app. You drop in $20. Same as yesterday, same as tomorrow. No stock picking, no market timing, no genius moves. Just consistency. So here's what actually happens to your money all the way out to 30 years. Year 1. Your account looks embarrassing. You've put in about $7,000. The account holds roughly $7,500. That's it. The number is small enough that you question if any of this is real. Your friends are talking about crypto and meme stocks and someone who turned $400 into 40 grand. You feel behind. You're not behind. You're just watching the wrong scoreboard. Because here's what's actually happening. You're building a habit that most people never build. Studies consistently show that one of the strongest predictors of long-term wealth isn't investment returns. It's whether or not you actually invest in the first place. Most people don't. They mean to. They plan to. They never start. You started. That's the whole game in year 1. Don't lose sight of it. Year 3. Something shifts. The number in your account stops looking like a joke. You've contributed about $22,000. The account is now worth roughly $26,000. It didn't come from one lucky trade. It came from more than 1,000 small decisions repeated over and over. You check the balance and feel something strange. Not excitement, exactly. More like steadiness. Like the account is starting to have its own gravity. You also notice something uncomfortable. The market dropped. Not a little. A lot. Your balance is down from its peak, and your brain is screaming that something has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. Your brain is just not wired for this. Humans are pattern recognition machines built to survive short-term threats. A falling number looks like a predator. It is not. It's a discount. Every dollar you put in during a dip buys more shares. More shares means more growth on the way back up. This is called dollar cost averaging, and it's not a strategy. It's a superpower you get for free just by not stopping. Most people stop here. You don't. Year 5. The account hits a number that feels real. Real enough that you tell someone about it. You've contributed around $36,000. The account is now approaching $50,000. They're impressed for about 3 seconds. Then they ask what stock you've been buying. You tell them. An index fund. They look at you like you said you've been collecting rocks. You smile, because you know something they don't. Over long periods, roughly 80 to 90% of professional fund managers fail to beat a simple S&P 500 index fund. The people getting paid millions to pick stocks often lose to a list of America's 500 largest companies. The boring thing is usually the right thing. Boring is underrated. Year 7. Compounding starts to make itself known. Your contributions didn't change. Your return didn't change. But the growth is visibly faster. You've put in about $51,000. The account is now worth roughly $75,000. That gap between what you contributed and what the account holds, that's not luck. That's time doing its job. Einstein may or may not have called compounding the eighth wonder of the world. Doesn't matter who said it. It's true. Here's the number most people don't understand. If you invest just $200 a month starting at 25, you'll likely retire with around $1 million. Not because you're smart. Not because you picked the right stocks. Because you started, stayed consistent, and let time do the heavy lifting. $200 a month. Less than most people spend on subscriptions, takeout, and purchases they forgot about. Year 10. You look back and can barely recognize the person who opened the account a decade ago. You've lived through crashes, recessions, panics. You've watched headlines scream that everything is collapsing. You kept buying. Not because you were brave, because you had a system. Systems beat willpower every time. You've put in about $73,000. The account now has crossed $120,000. The first decade is where you build the base. The second decade is where the base starts building itself. The third decade is where you barely recognize the numbers. Year 15. Something uncomfortable happens. A coworker who laughed at your index fund approach tells you about a guy who turned 50,000 into 3 million buying some AI company at exactly the right moment. You feel it. That pull, that voice. What if you've been doing this wrong? You haven't. For every person who hit it big on a single bet, there are thousands who lost money trying the same thing. You don't hear about them because they don't post about it. Meanwhile, you've contributed about $110,000. The account is now worth nearly $300,000. The market isn't fair, but it is consistent over time. That's the only edge available to normal people. Time. And you've been spending it right. Year 20. The number in your account is now doing things on its own. You've contributed roughly $146,000. The account is worth over $500,000. In a good year, a 10% gain adds $50,000. That's more than many people earned at their first full-time job. Not from new contributions, just from existing. That's the moment the math stops being theoretical. Your money is working while you sleep, while you eat, while you watch terrible television on a Tuesday night. You are no longer the only one working in this relationship. The money has become an employee, the best kind. No sick days, no complaints, no HR issues, just quiet, compounding growth. Year 30. You open the app, you check the number. The number that started as $20 dropped in while watching Netflix on a Tuesday night. Over 30 years, you've contributed about $219,000. That's it, just over $200,000 of your own money. The account is now worth roughly $1.5 million. More than $1 million of that came from compounding. Not magic, not luck, just 30 years of not stopping. It sounds like the most boring story ever told. It is. And also, it completely changed your life. Here's the thing nobody talks about enough. Look at what just happened. The first 15 years grew the account to about $300,000. The next 15 years added more than $1 million. Read that again. The second half of the journey created more wealth than the first half ever could, which means starting late doesn't just delay the result. It steals the best part of the journey. Your future self doesn't care about your excuses. They only care about whether you started. The fear most people carry, that you need a lot of money, that you need to know the right stocks, that you missed the window, is wrong. This entire story started with $20 a day. And when you come back to it in 30 years, it won't look like the same account. It won't look like the same life. Investing isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-slowly machine that works every single time you let it run long enough. Don't let the fear of picking the wrong stock stop you from starting. And don't let a bad year stop you from continuing. The market is a tool, not a casino. Use it while you have time. Because time is the only thing you can't get back. When you zoom out, every crash is just a small dip in a very long line that goes up and to the right. As long as you stay in the game, you've got nothing to worry about. But yeah, don't use this as your excuse to keep waiting. Open the account. Put something in, even if it's embarrassingly small. Day 1 is the hardest day. Everything after that is just not stopping.